Mr. Speaker, it's working. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this report, and I think in the interest of the House and many issues that have been raised. One is with the Committee on ESC. I think there is a committee that concerns itself. They need to pick it up, some of these recommendations going into the future, so that we can ensure the process of EALA become less tedious within the law. Mr. Speaker, finally, I want to, I've heard my colleagues from the minority side, as the Mere One Kenya Alliance. I think he just left the chamber, Mr. Speaker. He is alleging that that members of Kenya Kwanza at some point will be given who to vote for. My question is simple. When you look at this report, which is the worst democracy and corruption, Mr. Speaker, if you can bring your own daughter to be elected to EALA or your own son? Winnie Odinga wants to be an EALA member simply because of the second name, just like Kalonzo Musyoka's son. They are here. They should stop lecturing us about democracy where they practice the worst form of democracy and corruption. If it comes to voting, I will not allow cronyism and nepotism to go through, because that is not the spirit of this republic, Mr. Speaker. When you look at the list of Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker, it is only hustlers, people who are from bottom up, that we have nominated to go to EALA to represent this country, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the One Kenya, as the Mere One Kenya Alliance, to stop peddling lies to Kenyans that they are democratic. They are not. They are corrupt and nepotic and cronyism, and we shall not allow that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Hazana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, every time I rise, the expectation is that I'll be speaking for the marginalized people in this country. But I want to highlight, as regards the EALA nomination list, that the most marginalized group of people in this country turns out to be the youth. And it is very unfair for a sitting member of the Senate to stand up and say that experience is required to have sat in Parliament before for you to participate in the East African Legislative Assembly. I want to strongly refute that, and I hope that this House, each member will interrogate themselves and remember that these very youth who are seeking for these positions have no experience, and next time could turn out to be their own children. I believe that whoever we are going to send to the East African Legislative Assembly should be someone who is knowledgeable, someone who is eloquent, someone who has a vast knowledge of the East African affairs and matters, and somebody who understands the importance of discipline and aggressiveness and the value that the East African community brings when we have a common goal that will consolidate our interests. Senator Cherargei, please stop interrupting.
Senator Hazana, do not be disrupted by another senator. Leave it to me.
Thank you.
I'll protect you. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For Senator Cherargei, I believe Honorable Speaker should be the first to speak about the young people getting opportunities more than those who have experience. Having been a young member of the Senate in the last term, as a young naive boy from the hills of Nandi, and the opportunity bestowed upon him turned him into the brave man who is always in.
Honorable Senator, your time is up. Senator Boni Kalole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to members and have agreed with them that we need competence, proven competence at EALA. You and I have been there in an executive role, and you know the critical role played by this assembly, and countries like Rwanda and Uganda bring very good members of parliament. Let me tell you, I've listened to Senator Osotsi and I sympathize with him. He's saying that a parliamentary group meeting that is going to discuss this matter should not be entertained. Poor him. Senator Osotsi, in November 2006, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o and 10 other leaders belonging to the Rainbow Coalition took President Mwai Kibaki to the East African Court of Justice. And the ruling was given in Anyang' Nyong'o's favor that no political party within a coalition can be locked out. That was the ruling, November 2006. So, heads of coalitions must sit together and agree so that the members we take to East Africa, Wiper must be there, Jubilee should be there, ODM should be there on that side. And on our side, we should reflect our composition. And this is why I want to urge ODM, if you have not held consultations with your colleagues, you're going to give us problems. We'll be ruled out of order by that court. So we need that tomorrow's example by us be seen as a value adding. The only thing I'll request is, because I'll be voting for you, I'll go by the ruling of the East African Court of Justice. I'll make sure that the people I vote for, I'll give some to ODM, some to Wiper, and some to Jubilee. And on the UDA side, because we have almost 90% majority, the law allows us as UDA to take all the UDA members of parliament, and I'll therefore be guided, and I urge members to be guided by the geographical consideration, so that the entire community of Kenya is also in East Africa. I support.
Thank you, Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also stand in support of the report, and hasten to say that, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of consultation going around, which is healthy. I mean, let those people who are interested in representing our republic in EALA lobby and canvass and caucus, and there's no formula for doing it, Mr. Speaker. The people will canvass in the best way that they know how to, and at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, the thing that we must all be very careful about, I think, is what Senator Alwale has said, that we need to take to Arusha a team of 9 members who will represent 2 things, Mr. Speaker. 1, the face of this country, and 2, Mr. Speaker, the competence levels of representation of this country. And Mr. Speaker, this is not to say that the youth should not get an opportunity. They must get an opportunity. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that at some point all of us were first-time senators or members of the National Assembly. So we cannot say that one of the criteria for electing people to EALA should be people who are previously served in a parliament. The Speaker, people are competent enough, they lobby enough, they canvass enough, they caucus enough. The Speaker, let the best team go to represent Kenya in Arusha. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me arise to all right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the report of the committee. that they have done a good job with the names that they have presented to both houses to be considered for the EALA Parliament. Mr. Speaker, let me say, all those who are in that list are Kenyans who can represent this country. But Mr. Speaker, it's good that as we go to vote, we consider the face of this country, we consider diversity, we consider regional balance, and we also consider competence, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we consider all categories, it's also good that people who are physically challenged are considered because if we have seen them in the list. The youths are considered because we have seen them in the list. And the women of this country, there is a fair number in that list. And as my SG said, it will be good if for the first time we can have majority of women in the EALA Parliament, because we have seen the women of this country are also competent, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we consider many factors, it is good that we consider that there are communities particularly that cut across the borders of the East African countries. You will find a community like the Maasai. They are both in Tanzania and they are in Kenya. You'll find, I think the Pokot. There are many communities that cut across, and it will be good that such communities are given a chance, because as they go to East Africa, they will bring unity of purpose in all our countries, Mr. Speaker. They are asked
Honorable Senator, your time is up. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the report on the Joint Committee on the elections of members to serve